Here are your solutions to 7-1. These are the letter problems. We'll start with letter A. We're asked to check to see if these two figures are congruent. So the first thing we want to do is, in the case of A, we're going to reflect it, and we'll reflect it over this line right here. So you can see where this point right here would end up down here, and we would have a side that looks like this. And then this point here would reflect down to here. We'll have a side like this, and we'll end up with A looking like this right here, and this shaded area here, we'll call it. And once we have that, all we have to do is slide till we have this point over here, this point here, etc. And we do indeed have a congruent set of figures. First of all, remember that you also should put here that that was congruent and that it was a reflection and a translation. I'm going to abbreviate that. Then for letter B, you'll recognize that with figure A, what you want to do is you notice that we have this situation here. So in order to get this square to map onto this one, we're going to have to do a flip. So I'm going to show this with a couple of steps involved here, but it would look like this, and then you have the one square down here if you were to flip it and then rotate it. But unfortunately, then you would have this piece here is the third square. So if you go through here and you have this, you would have the third square here. So you can see that everything would match up except for this piece and this piece do not match up. One thing I want to point out here is that for those of you that have difficulty seeing this flip or rotate or slide in your head, the best way to handle that is to come up to my desk and get a piece of clear plastic with one of those pens, trace the figure, and then if you need to do a flip, you can just flip the plastic over, and of course if you need to do a rotation or a slide, you can just spin it or slide it for the rotation or the translation, and you'll be able to easily see that this figure does not map onto this figure, and it's all about this piece right here. So this is not congruent. Okay, let's do letter C. What transformations could be used if the letter W is the pre-image and the letter M is the image in the logo shown? Are the two figures congruent? Explain. Again, one of the things that we could do here, if we start out with the pre-image, W is the pre-image. So here's the pre-image. We start with this. One of the things we should recognize that we could do is we could do a rotation, so we could spin it 180 degrees and it would look then like this. And then the next thing we want to do is do a slide, and we can map the purple, originally W, would turn into M, and we could map it directly over the green. And it is a combination of a rotation followed by a translation. Or you could, of course, do it in the opposite order. But the key is that, yes, these two figures are congruent. Please press pause and do guided practice. Okay, here are your solutions to guided practice. This is 7-1. Determine if the two figures are congruent by using transformations. Explain your reasoning. So in this case, we could easily do either a rotation or a reflection. If we reflect this down, we would have L down here, L prime, of course, that would be. N we could leave right there. And M would come down to here, and we would have a figure that looks like this, only it would look it would look better than that, of course. And then, of course, the only thing we have to do is do a slide. So this would be yes, and it would be either a rotation, because we could have rotated it around like this in order to get this piece down here and look like this, or we could do a reflection. So either a rotation or a reflection. I'm going to put rotation and a translation. Problem number 2. Here we have a situation where it would probably be easiest to rotate this figure down so that it looks like this. So you'd have two squares there, two there, and one on the end, and that's exactly what we have here. And then once we have this figure in this position, we could slide this one, and this one matches up with this, and all four match up with these. So again, we have a rotation followed by a translation, And our answer is, of course, yes, it is congruent. And now let's take a look at number 3. The Boyd Box Company uses the logo shown. What transformations could be used if the red trapezoid is the pre-image? So this is the red trapezoid is the pre-image, and the blue trapezoid is the image. Are the two figures congruent? And explain. So one of the things that we could do is we could rotate this direction. Let me get rid of that so that we can see our figure better. So once we rotated that, we would have this piece would be at the bottom, and when we rotate this one around, this looks fairly straight, so we'd have this here, and then this slanted edge here would rotate up to this position up here, which on this would be right here, and we would have, of course, this piece here. And now if you take a look at that, you can recognize that these two images are congruent, and that in fact you could slide this over and cover. And again, the best way to see this would be to trace this with some computer paper, or come and get one of those clear sheets of plastic, and you'll see that indeed these two figures are congruent. Say yes, rotation, followed by a translation. Problem number 4. Building on the essential question, why do translations, reflections, and rotations create congruent images? And the simple answer to that is because they always end up with a same size and same shape. Those 3 transformations, the translation, the reflection, and the rotation, do not change the size or the shape. Therefore, they may remain congruent images.